Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Well, the Thanksgiving travel rush is officially on. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. From today through Monday, millions of people are going to hit the roads, the rails, and the friendly skies. And KPBS reporter John Carroll has been looking into what travelers to and from San Diego can expect, and he is live at San Diego International Airport with more. John?
Maya, it's almost bizarre out here, to be honest with you, how quiet it is. Earlier today, my photographer Carlos and I were out here shooting this story, and it was medium busy, not even that bad then. It's now like dead. It's very strange. Now, one reason for that may be that everything seems to be, at least on Terminal 2 airlines, moving on time. I don't see any cancellations or delays up there, but this probably won't last. So unless you're traveling by ship or through outer space, it's planes, trains, and automobiles for you, and I talked to experts in all three of those today. Post-pandemic, the travel sector has been in recovery mode. We've been comparing travel numbers in the years since to those of 2019. Welcome to 2024, where the industry has bounced back and then some.
We're about 12.5% higher, meaning that we have about 12.5% more people in the airport than we did in 2019.
That stat comes with a wrinkle that can easily stymie your travel plans at the airport. All that construction on Terminal 1. Nicole Hall says pay close attention to signage. There are detours everywhere. And plan ahead.
And first thing they do before you leave your house, check your flight time. Make sure your flight is taking off at the time that it's scheduled, that there's no delays, no cancellations, so you can then plan ahead and give yourself enough time to get to the airport.
Back down here on Earth, things are also looking very busy.
We are projecting the biggest number this year compared to any that we have seen before, from Tuesday to Monday. So just here in Southern California, 6.5 million Southern Californians are going to be traveling during that travel period.
Venegas says that's a more than 2.5% increase over last year. If you're setting out on a road trip, she says make sure you've had plenty of sleep. And pack an emergency kit, including water, blankets, and a phone charger. If time isn't an issue, consider the train, a more leisurely way to travel. But at this time of year, just like with driving and flying, it's best to be prepared.
Last year, we saw 1 million customers for the week of Thanksgiving, and we've been hitting records every single year.
Amtrak adds more trains during the busy travel season, but Olivia Irvin says still, give yourself plenty of time to get to the station. Once aboard, there's one thing to always look forward to on a train.
It's a relaxing experience, plenty of legroom on board. There's no middle seat, so it's a very comfortable journey.
A comfortable and safe journey, all any of us could really ask for. Live at San Diego International Airport, John Carroll, KPBS News. Maya?
John, before you go, I know the parking situation at the airport is a lot better now than it has been over the last couple of years, right?
That is totally true. It was awful like a couple of months ago and years before that. But now phase 1 of the new parking plaza is finished, and that gives the airport about 5,000 spaces. And there's something else good about if you decide to park there. If you make a reservation online, you'll save yourself 20% off the price. So that's pretty cool, too, especially around the holidays. Maya?
That's very cool. Thanks so much for that report, John. We appreciate it.
Well, temperatures are going to stay a bit warmer tonight with a low of 60. We will be dealing with some low clouds, so something to keep in mind that could have some impacts on visibility. But we're looking at a quieter week ahead. I'll break down exactly what to expect for this holiday week coming up.
Well, President-elect Trump is threatening to slap a 25% tariff on all goods from Mexico and Canada as soon as he takes office. In a statement on Truth Social, Trump said those tariffs would remain in place until the two border nations control illegal immigration and drugs into the U.S. The U.S. imports about 1/5 of all its agricultural products from Mexico, including 89% of imported avocados. Our media partner KGTV spoke to the senior vice president of the Regional Economic Development Corporation, and she said the tariffs would hit small businesses the hardest.
Almost all of the exporters in the United States are small businesses, about 98% of them. And when the rules change, the rules of the road change really quickly around international business, they're the ones that suffer. It gets harder for them to navigate, a lot harder for them to create jobs.
And Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has suggested Mexico could retaliate with tariffs of its own, but said she is willing to engage in talks on the issues. 10 months after the January floods, some families will get help paying rent from the city for the first time. KPBS reporter Katie Anastas says restrictions on county funding had previously made them ineligible.
In the spring, the San Diego Housing Commission set up a program to help flood victims with rent, security deposits, and other expenses. Funding came from the county and the city, but it was limited to families still using hotel vouchers at the end of May. Now, the Housing Commission is using $900,000 in unspent funds to help families who applied but didn't qualify.
The money that we have remaining, this $900,000, is all City of San Diego funds. So it doesn't have the restrictions, which is how we're now able to start serving some of those folks that we haven't been able to serve yet.
More than 300 families had received financial assistance through the Housing Commission as of early this month. Jones estimates nearly 200 others applied for assistance but didn't qualify. The Housing Commission is starting with those families and will give each one up to $5,500.
If it turns out that only 100 households end up still needing support and we don't expend the full $900,000, we will then go back and work with the city council members whose districts were most impacted to determine how we best continue to fund resources to get those communities basically back into safe housing and stabilized.
Flood survivors continue to meet every week at the Jackie Robinson Family YMCA. They share updates and resources available to the community. Aaron Swanton co-founded Together San Diego, a volunteer network that's been cleaning up and rebuilding damaged homes. He says he's glad the remaining money will go out to families who didn't get it before.
There are people who have already leveraged their lives, right, to get back as far as they could and still need a lot of help. So will $5,500 per person do it? Probably not. Will anything helps at this point.
10 months after the flood, he says more support is still needed.
The financial situation of the city is difficult. If you're following the budget issues in the city, there's only so much money. So we need philanthropy and business dollars to come into this.
City Council member Henry Foster has asked Mayor Todd Gloria's office to allocate an additional $5 million to the Housing Commission to support flood victims. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
Well, coming up, how neighbors still recovering from January's flood are coming together to celebrate the holiday season. Residents at Green Oak RV Park in Vista have only a few days left before they are evicted. Now the city is stepping in to help them move right before the holidays. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne takes a look at what's next for residents.
The landscape of Vista's Green Oak Ranch is changing. Earlier this year, the 110-acre property was leased to a new nonprofit. The new tenant, Solutions for Change, wants to use the space for programs to help homeless families. But an affordable RV park on the land can't stay. That means the 30 families living in the RV community are being evicted and need to be out by December 1st. Karen Allison is one of the residents.
When we heard that Solutions for Change is coming in on a lease on this parcel, we really thought that they would let us stay here and work with us, maybe incorporate us into their work that they're doing, because they fight homelessness.
The RV park isn't properly permitted, and that's partly why Solutions for Change says they can't let it stay on the land. Chris Megason is its CEO.
We can't go in and assume another operation without permits, you know? So it's not like, you know, we're getting kind of blamed like, hey, it's our fault for this. You know, my insurance company is not going to insure us going in there and operating something illegally. So
Megason says the RV park also needs serious improvements. For example, it floods when it rains. But that's expensive. Solutions for Change is already paying $45,000 a month to lease the land, making the improvements too much of a stretch.
I think we've been unfairly, you know, characterized in this way to our public. Solutions for Change, we are in the business of serving our community and transforming the lives of homeless families, period. We're not going to do that, though, at the expense of our entire organization.
The city of Vista confirmed the RV park has been operating without permits. But they weren't asking the previous managers to make upgrades for two reasons: their mission and because the RV park helped fill an affordable housing gap. Megason says Solutions for Change offered resources to the RV park residents, but none have taken their offer.
Yeah, they offered other people's resources. They send you to places, they send you to websites or housing complexes, they send you to other places.
Allison says those resources already had long lists of people looking for affordable housing.
When you get there, or when you call there, you find out, oh yeah, there's a long waiting list. There's no way we can serve you in the next 2 months. Or we have no funding. We don't know when we will get funding back. There's nothing immediately available or possible.
Even though the park isn't permitted, residents could have been entitled to relocation fees. The city of Vista wants to be sure the landlord, Green Oak Ministries, is following California law. But Green Oak Ministries says they're exempt because they're a religious nonprofit. Now the city of Vista is stepping in. Katie Melendez is Vista's deputy mayor.
The city of Vista has taken on the burden of responding to the needs of these residents, including offering case management services, offering any type of affordable housing options that we can find, and also potentially supporting their move.
The new tenant, Solutions for Change, also might use religious exemptions for the development of Green Oak Ranch.
Things we're looking in is using SB 4, which is the Religious Land Use Act, allowing us to go in and very easily put in prefabricated units there.
CEO Chris Megason says a future RV park isn't completely out of the question, but it would be recreational, not a permanent housing solution.
And it's going to be a long-term development plan. This thing, it's not going to be quick, but there's phases.
They'll also continue recreational camps and the annual North County Veterans Stand Down event.
But we're looking at maintaining the rural character of this. We're not talking about any mass development. We're talking about parks and trails and, maybe a dog park and a bike trail and things like that to make it what it is now.
They plan on hosting community input events for the future of Green Oak Ranch. But as they plan for the future, a handful of the residents of the RV community still have nowhere to go. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
A new report is raising concerns over healthcare price transparency in California. KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco says only 21% of hospitals are fully complying with federal rules for providing accurate cost estimates to patients.
Since 2021, federal law has required hospitals to post the prices of at least 300 offered services, like x-rays, imaging, and laboratory tests. San Diego State University professor Shiloh Williams says the goal is to allow patients to shop around for care.
They were required to also put some sort of an easy navigation. So, for example, a lot of them have a tool, to help you kind of calculate your expenses as you're thinking about the service you're wanting.
But a report from Patient Rights Advocate, a nonprofit focused on price transparency, found only 21% of California hospitals reviewed were fully compliant with the rule, and none of them are in San Diego County.
It's a really complex issue. To be fully deemed compliant, is challenging.
Williams says compliance depends on the criteria set by auditors.
I know this particular report said 21%, but I know another one that I had read said closer to 93%, and that was put out in January of 2024.
The report's nonprofit author has faced criticism, including from the American Hospital Association, for misinterpreting compliance guidelines and wrongly labeling hospitals as non-compliant. Earlier this month, federal officials released a report showing 63% of hospitals sampled in early 2023 fully met requirements. Despite the discrepancies in data, Williams says these reports highlight the rule's key purpose, protecting patients from high medical bills.
Patients need to understand their coverage, but also understand that they can advocate for themselves.
Williams recommends patients ask questions before making healthcare decisions.
You know, most of these insurance companies have a hotline for their members to call. Let that benefit representative help walk you through that.
Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
San Diego County public health officials are reminding people to throw away organic carrots tied to a nationwide E. coli outbreak. The bagged whole and baby carrots were sold under multiple brands by Grimway Farms. 39 illnesses have been linked to the carrots, including one here in San Diego. The carrots are no longer in stores, but may be in your home if you put them in the freezer. We have the recall details on our website, kpbs.org. Turkey and football are two of Thanksgiving's biggest traditions, but as teams across America take the field this holiday weekend, the sport is tackling growing concerns about player safety. Michael Yoshida reports.
Football practice at Lanier High School in Georgia looks a little different this year.
You've seen it in colleges and in the pros, and I think nowadays we're always looking for different ways to help protect our kids.
Enter padded covers like the Guardian Cap, which slips over a player's helmet with the goal of adding an extra layer of protection.
So apparently I'm blowing up in the news right now.
The NFL has embraced the technology amid calls to improve safety. This season, for the first time, players are allowed to wear the caps during regular season games. The league began requiring them in 2022 for most players during certain practices.
We saw a decrease in concussions of about 50% from the affected position groups.
The NFL has not released the data behind its claims. Guardian Sports, which makes the Guardian Cap, points to its own testing, as well as years of use by college and professional players as proof the padded coverings reduce injuries, but with one caveat.
We don't like to use concussion as a metric of what the Guardian Cap does or doesn't do. What we know that the Guardian Cap does is it reduces those non-concussive blows.
Several groups of independent researchers recently tested Guardian Caps in the lab and on the field, and the results have been mixed. Some studies found small benefits in reducing impacts to the head and brain, but others showed no positive difference between players wearing caps and those who don't.
There's no helmet right now. There's no helmet add-on that can eliminate concussion risk. And more work needs to be done on those repeated subconcussive blows or the lower velocity impacts that our younger athletes are exposed to.
And that's important because mounting scientific evidence shows repeated hits to the head, even if they don't cause concussions, can have lasting impacts on the brain, like chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, a progressive degenerative brain disease.
The mystery of CT is starting to disappear in football. We're figuring out why people are getting it. It's essentially a math problem. It's the number of hits and the strength of the hits that someone takes over their lifetime. So the best analogy is probably smoking and lung cancer. The more cigarettes, the longer you do it, the greater your risk.
Concerns that are having an impact on the sport, as leagues and teams change rules and try new technologies in attempts to make the game safer.
My mom, she loves it. She even seen them. She's been talking about extra protection and safety since I was little.
Football's changed a lot in the last 10, 15 years and how you practice and what happens because of all the safety concerns.
I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
Nearly a month ago, firefighters tackled a fire that burned along Fairmont Avenue in the College area. And today, the people living in the surrounding neighborhoods gathered to say thank you.
You have saved our livelihood, you have saved our home, and you have saved our community. So thank you very much.
Talmadge residents are thanking the first responders who saved their homes with giant thank you cards and by donating to charity. One house was lost, but firefighters say the damage could have been much worse.
One of the responders said to me, "We treated your home the way we treat our home.
we saved it with our lives. And that's exactly how they responded.
The cause of the fire is still under investigation, but firefighters say a homeless encampment was near where the fire sparked. It's been almost a year since floods upended the lives of more than 1,000 San Diegans. And as the holidays approach, KPBS reporter Katie Hyson revisited one survivor from the Shelltown neighborhood.
The banner Beba Zárate hung outside her house for Dia de los Muertos is still there. Enero 22, the day the neighborhood died and had to be reborn. Rain still keeps neighbors up at night, but Zárate says most have working kitchens again in time for Thanksgiving.
You don't know if you're gonna leave the next day. So if you have something today, like, you know, like a good dinner, enjoy it.
She says their basic needs are met. Now neighbors are planning in case it floods again, keeping the streets clear of trash, and trying to figure out things like who's in charge of watching for heavy rain, where's the closest shelter.
The storm, nobody knew where to go. It was like a chaos in there, so we don't want to happen that again.
Before I leave, she gives me flowers from her garden. They survived the flood, too. It killed what was on the surface, but not the roots. Hope, Zárate says. Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
Well, temperatures are going to stay steady until the weekend, and most of the rain that we've been seeing in the region is to the north of us, but doesn't rule out a few showers for us and some of that wind from that system moving through. Let's break down exactly what to expect, starting with tonight. We're going to see temperatures in the mid-50s for Oceanside. Some of those raindrops, that's the scattered showers I was talking about, and some of the low clouds across much of the region. 60 degrees is the low for San Diego, 47 for Mount Laguna, and 55 for Borrego Springs. As we look ahead to tomorrow, most of us are going to be seeing quite a few clouds. 68 in Oceanside, 68 for San Diego as well, 49 in Mount Laguna there, and then 70s for Borrego Springs. Now, let's talk about what to expect with some of that rain. So heading into the evening hours, most of this is north of us, and that's the trend that we're going to see, but doesn't rule out a scattered shower or two into the overnight hours and into Wednesday for us here in the San Diego area. Not a significant rain event. Just don't be surprised if you see a raindrop or two. Now let's talk about the next 5 days and what to expect on the coast. We're staying pretty steady with the temperatures for the next couple of days, but we are going to start to see a warming trend as we head towards the weekend. But you can see 75 Saturday and then down to 71 by the time we get to Sunday, starting out with quite a few clouds, but those lift a bit as we head throughout the week. Heading further inland, seeing those low clouds for Wednesday, again, something to keep in mind for visibility. 71 for your Wednesday, warming up to 82 by the time we get to Saturday, and then starting to even out as we head towards Sunday. There's that dreary once again for Wednesday in the mountains, 49 degrees there. Temperatures lows sticking in the 30s for the most part, cooling down or warming up to 50 degrees for your Friday, and then ultimately getting to 59 by the time we look towards Sunday. The desert sticking with the 70s really throughout the next 5 days. The lows hanging out between the 40s and the 50s. This is where we are seeing quite a bit of sunshine. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather's Anna Azalian.
A lot of people are getting started on their holiday shopping, and if you're looking for ideas, then we have you covered. We recently sent out the KPBS Holiday Gift Guide, showcasing some local San Diego businesses, artists, and restaurants. Books, food, music, gardening, there is a bit of everything on our list. We hope that you find something that you like, and many of the ideas, by the way, came from KPBS staff and you, our audience. Look for the KPBS Holiday Gift Guide at kpbs.org. Now, for many of us, one of the big Thanksgiving Day traditions is watching the Macy's parade on TV. Anthony Carlo has a behind-the-scenes look at this year's parade, including the new floats and all of the work that goes into them.
To be iconic is to be larger than life.
What we're trying to do is make the parade bigger and better than ever each year.
To be in charge of these massive floats, you have to know what the people are talking about. And that means spending more than 100 hours to bring Wednesday Addams to life.
We worked with our friends at Netflix to tell Wednesday's story of the parade, and what she's doing is playing a little joke on her little brother Pugsley and sending him down the route on a sheet pan of rotten vegetables.
7 of the more than 20 floats are new and will debut on the parade route this year. Minnie Mouse dances atop Magic Meets the Seas by Disney Cruise Line.
This float is going to feature a performance by Captain Minnie and a bunch of her friends from Disney.
On the Bronx Zoo's float, each animal is designed to be life-size. Those who've kicked it all into gear, everyone from engineers to carpenters, working for months in this warehouse leading up to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Creative director Brendan Kennedy wants to leave a mark with each float.
We're looking to tell a fun, family-friendly, festive story easily and quickly, because we only have a few moments. You know, they're shuffling down the road.
The attention to detail is something. For example, this Rayo's Pasta Night float. If you take a look around the float, you'll see a menacing dragon. Look a little closer. You'll notice its claws are designed to look like macaroni.
We created a story of a knight fighting a fire-breathing dragon that's made out of lasagna and pasta, and he's riding a rigatoni pony. And it's those attention to detail that I think are so important and what really make the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade so special.
So special, they're already working on next year's floats.
And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. KPBS Midday Edition is helping you with all of your last-minute cooking questions ahead of Thanksgiving. So tune in tomorrow at noon. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. I hope you have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.